turkey stuffed real dealies. Here at The Real Deal, we had an interesting Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Brandon wanted to cook our resident Blue Jay over here, but Ross threatened to turn him into stuffing if he tried. So.
After which Brandon proceeded by saying, "Do it. It'll taste good with bread and onions."
Whew. Well, then the tablecloth caught on fire and Kyle burned off an eyebrow.
Which I now have to fill in. Typical family fun.
So count your blessings and give your thanks because The Real Deal starts now.
Welcome back to another confounding episode of The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm Eli Brunsman.
And I'm Angela Oriam. This week we have more than just the guilt and pleasure of indulging ourselves on good food and Black Friday deals.
What did you get on Black Friday, Angelo?
Oh, you know, a couple video games, some rope, small TV, duct tape, movies, and a shovel.
That's disturbing.
Yeah, the prices were pretty criminal, huh? You know, I had to pay $40 for the original Assassin's Creed. Like, what are they?
Right, but what about the shovel?
What shovel?
The one you bought on Black Friday.
Oh, right. Here with a media binge is Logan Lewis. Logan?
Now, I'm not the one to binge watch media a lot, but I must say, Sherlock has been a joy to binge. And I must admit, I'm not a huge consumer of media in general, even though I work with entertainment and media like here on The Real Deal. I rarely binge watch television shows, and I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't binge shows because I always procrastinate watching them to the point that I just never start them. I started watching Sherlock because of a script writing class, and I'm so glad we watched it. Sherlock has been the most fun I've ever had binging a show, and I even binged Stranger Things before I binged Sherlock. Stranger Things was great, but it doesn't compare to Sherlock in regards to experience. The episodes are at feature length around 90 minutes, but there are only 3 to 5 episodes in a season. Compared to Stranger Things needing 9 to 12 hours to binge a season, Season 1 of Sherlock takes less than 5 hours to watch Season 1. Also, the series is absolutely wonderful. The 4th season is somewhat lackluster compared to seasons 1 through 3, but don't let that stop you. Benedict Cumberbatch does the best portrayal of Sherlock Holmes I've ever seen. Yes, even better than RDJ. Don't at me on Twitter about it. And Martin Freeman is the perfect Watson for Benny Link Cucumber Latch. You can watch the entire series on Netflix, so either pay for it yourself or borrow the account from a friend. The show is easily accessible to it being on Netflix and can be easily watched in a weekend if you're determined enough. Benadryl Cloister Hatch is a wonderful Sherlock. The show is compact enough to be binged extremely easily, and the show is only 4 seasons in. It'll be easy to catch up if you haven't started it yet, due to only 4 seasons being in existence. I highly suggest you not only watch Sherlock, but you also put off all responsibilities and watch it all in a weekend. Don't blame me if you fail a test because of the binging, though, as I'm just a magic little man on your computer screen. That's all for this edition of Media Binge. I'm Logan Lewis, back to the captains that are sailing this sinking ship.
Thanks, Logan. Sounds like watching Sherlock should be elementary.
No, Eli, those are 2 different shows. You know, Elementary has Lucy Liu and some other guy, and Sherlock has Bilbo Baggins and Encyclopedia Britannica as Smaug.
You do realize that elementary is Sherlock's catchphrase in the book, right?
What's a book, Eli? Who reads?
Well, while Angelo takes a field trip to the Barnes & Noble downstairs, here's Rob Segovia.
It's been a long time coming for Jaden Smith in his musical career. We've seen him in the inspirational film The Pursuit of Happiness and the rather disappointing After Earth, both with his father Will, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Between the 2 movies came the remake of The Karate Kid as a starring role. Accompanying the movie was the song Never Say Never by Justin Bieber. The uplifting song was an anthem that featured Jaden, the rapper. Both Bieber and Smith started off their careers way too early, and their teenage drama was indicative of the lack of maturity, but neither artist lacked talent. Their potential was there, and the song showed that they could compete with any artist in the game. The song skyrocketed up the charts and landed them at the 8th spot on the Hot 100, and was even certified 5 times platinum in the United States. From there, we saw Bieber rise the ranks as one of the more popular acts in music, and finding himself again after a fall from grace. Through that rebirth, he discovered his mature voice. But Jaden's growth was gradual, and we were only fed snippets of his abilities. Yes, I speak as if Jaden Smith is so much younger than me, but he's not. Only a year off. The beautiful thing, however, is that I got to see his progression and grow with him. He released underwhelming tracks in the years since, and I was beginning to think that Smith wouldn't get to the top. He isn't consistent, he stands out in a crowd, but I can't hear the unique sound in his music. He only has the name. He'll never be a musician. Released on Jay-Z's label Roc Nation, Jaden Smith put forth his debut project, SYRE. Some of Smith's influences are Frank Ocean, James Blake, Kid Cudi, and Tyler the Creator. With names like that, I was ready to be amazed. The album starts with Blue, a suite of 4 different tracks for each letter. It was full of beat switches, seamless transitions, beautiful singing by his sister Willow, and exciting flows. I heard all the influences, and this was just the beginning. Tracks 1 through 9 were ambitious, full of Jaden at his most powerful. He was musically gifted at constructing an album and ready to take on the world with his newfound persona, SYRE. Then the latter half was interesting, to say the least. I would have absolutely loved the album if it stopped after the 9th track, Lost Boy. It even sounded like it would, as he was shouting out all the people who helped him throughout the project. Then it fades right into Batman, a song that I loved when it came out, but a sound that was different from the rest. I wasn't complaining though. I was anxious to hear what else was in store. Then I realized that Batman, along with Icon and Watch Me, would become my favorite 3-song sequence of the year. It was full of Jaden and his trap element, giving us anthems that are surely going to find their ways into stadiums and arenas, rightfully landing in my playlist too. The rest of the album was okay. If the concept album ended after the 9 tracks and he put my 3 favorite songs as the bonus tracks, it would be among my favorites of the year. But Jaden still has more to learn and plenty of time to figure it out. He's here to stay in music, and there's really no reason to hate on him. He's good. SYRE is good. It proves that you can't count Jaden out. Never say never.
Thanks, Rob.
Why are you laughing?
How can laughing be real, Eli, if our eyes aren't real?
Because... Oh, never mind. Hey, did you hear B.O.B. thinks their show won't be back after the break?
Wait, why? Are we getting canceled mid-show now?
No, not this time. He just hasn't seen any evidence of segments from Josie Underhill or Alexis Alicia.
But they're on every single episode, pretty much.
We'll prove him wrong after the break.
What the heck?
I've been thinking about your dad more. I never told you about your dad because it was complicated. So you hate me for that?
I could never hate you for anything. I love you too much.
Hi, Dr. Resnick. That explains the headaches. You know that this key is for the box that's on my dresser. If anything happens to me, why not just tell her? What would I say? I fell in love with a married man, and I never told him about you because I didn't want to wreck his marriage. And I totally screwed up my daughter.
Wolf call. I think you're missing the bigger issue here, though.
Heads where I can see him.
Did we mention chicken milk?
Slam a cool cock!
What do you know about shapeshifters?
Reptilioid dudes, man. Smells like old people.
小时候，锦衣卫突然冲进来，我被流放到南方去做收马，是他救了我。他向我发誓，我会倾尽所能，杀魏忠贤，扫除阉党。
你敢吗？
In your face, B.O.B. We're back.
Yeah, back to our regularly scheduled programming. It's time for Josie Underhill to give her opinion on the Star Wars prequels.
Psst, spoiler alert, it's the wrong opinion.
Angelo, be nice.
Okay, sorry. Take it away, Josie. Take it away.
Due to the newest installments of the Star Wars series premiering on December 15th, I wanted to share my unpopular opinion on the dreaded prequels, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. Watching the first 3 Star Wars movies is one of my guilty pleasures that usually leads to an angry mob of people shouting at me. But before you all go get your torches and pitchforks, please let me try and explain why I like them so much. In my opinion, the first 3 movies are a lot more exciting and intense for the fact that the special effects are just better than the originals. Granted, if the originals had the technology we had back then I'd probably be telling a different story. But all the different planets and technology has more depth and looks cooler than in the originals, especially the fighting scenes. The Return of the Jedi was the only movie in the originals that had really exciting, fast-paced lightsaber battles, whereas the prequels were filled with intense duels. The fights in Revenge of the Sith, in my opinion, were probably the most entertaining battles in the whole series. The argument that these films were poorly written, I agree with in some places. However, I think it just makes the movies funnier. I think that the Star Wars films are supposed to be fun movies, and even the originals are cheesy. Anakin's line about sand that got popular always cracks me up, and the banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin keeps me entertained. While the prequels have their serious moments, I think they are more lighthearted and comedic mixed with intense action, which is my favorite genre to watch. I also just like to see some of my favorite characters back when they were in their prime. Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably my favorite character in the entire Star Wars franchise, and I like watching adventures focused on him and Anakin. Ian McGregor does a great job portraying this character and is really entertaining to watch on screen. Most fans agree that McGregor's performance in these movies is one of the redeeming factors of the prequels. I love Obi-Wan in the originals as well, but he just isn't as big of a character as in the prequels. So I like that the prequels give him a backstory as well as how Anakin became evil. All in all, I'm a fan of all the Star Wars movies, and not a lot could change my mind. Whether you agree with my opinion or not, I can believe that most fans can agree that we are all hoping that the 8th movie, The Last Jedi, will exceed all expectations.
Thanks, Josie. I'm sorry I choked you out, Angelo. I got caught up in the moment and let the dark side of the Force just take over.
Yeah, it definitely got a little vivacious in here.
Do you even know the meaning of that word?
Attractively lively and animated, especially in regards to a woman. I have a word of the day calendar, so.
Well, maybe you can take a ponder through your word of the day calendar and find a word that perfectly sums up Alexis Alicia's guilty pleasure for the Saw series.
Well, you know what? I will. Alexis, proceed if you please.
I know I'm a little late to the party with Halloween and creepy stuff, but today I want to talk about one of my favorite movies, Saw. I have to admit, this is one of my guilty pleasures. Another one of mine is The Real Housewives, but that's another happy rant for another day. Anyway, I have to say Saw is an incredibly unique series filled with plot twists and a whole lot of gore. I prefer movies with more gore than jump scares because, guys, I always jump, that darn pighead. The movies are centered around Jigsaw, John Kramer, who has cancer and puts people who are unappreciative of their lives through these games that make them fight for their lives. The first movie is my favorite of the series. It's nothing like I've seen before. Spoilers ahead for people who have not seen the movie. The fact that Jigsaw was the dead guy in the middle of the room the whole time? Amazing. I truly was not expecting that. I really thought that Zepp guy was Jigsaw. How naive am I, right? Nothing is really as it seems in these movies. Another thing that threw me off was the video of Detective Matthew's son in that creepy gas-infused house in the second movie, and it was taken days before, and his son was hooked up to oxygen in the safe right next to him in Jigsaw's lair. Eric, if you would have just stayed and talked to Jigsaw like you said you needed to, you wouldn't have been his next victim, but I guess you did what you had to do. Also, great choices of casting. Tobin Bell and Donnie Wahlberg are inspired. And don't get me started on how movie 3 and 4 are both happening at the same time. The horror is so psychological and unexpected. I could go on and on about how great this series is. I definitely recommend this movie.
Thanks, Alexis.
Thanks, Alexis.
That was supposed to be my line?
Says who, Eli? I don't
The teleprompter?
That clearly says Angelo. Get your eyes checked.
Do you want to fight?
No, I don't, actually.
Remember what happened to the last guy who crossed me?
Yeah, let's just say Kyle looked like Tom Cruise before what you did to him, so.
Now it looks like the riskiest business he ever went on was the perilous journey to America on the Mayflower.
What does that even mean?
He looks like a pilgrim. Give him a pilgrim hat and tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, well, while I go search for a pilgrim hat to keep my head, it's time for break number 2, which is apparently sponsored by the First Thanksgiving. What, writers? Where did you...
Welcome back, loyal, dedicated viewers that we love so much.
Yeah, now Eli is choosing to be nice.
Don't push it.
Okay, well, bruises aside, let's move right along to this week's Top 5 with Madison McGill. Madison?
Don't worry, I'll be there for you during this segment as I relay my top 5 TV theme songs. Feel free to agree or disagree, but I'm right on this. I've done my research, taken polls. All of my roommates agree with me, so this list must be true. So let's begin. At number 5, I have The Office. Now, while this one doesn't necessarily have lyrics, it is super catchy and encapsulates the show in perfection. What other instrumental composition could capture the random acts committed by ordinary paper salespeople in Scranton, Pennsylvania, who are being filmed for a random documentary? Because the lives of people selling paper makes for primetime television. Then again, people are tuning into this, so I can't say much on that. Anyway, back to the top 5 list. This made the list mostly for its stuck in the head factor. Watching an episode of The Office means this theme is in my head for the rest of the day. Moving on to number 4, this theme holds a very special place in my heart. The Gilmore Girls theme is not only a sing-along tune, it's the theme of my childhood. My mom and I would sit on the couch and watch episode after episode singing along to this theme. It really played into our fantasy of being Lorelai and Rory. We had the small-town mother-daughter dynamic going on and knew all the words to the song. Our lives just weren't necessarily as entertaining. The next slot goes to Hanging Out Down the Street and the same old thing we did last week. That's right, at number 3 I have That 70s Show. Similar to the reason as why Gilmore Girls is on the list, this theme captures the moments in college where I should have been studying but instead was been watching a show on Netflix with my roommates. I'm sure we've all been there. Anyway, there's just something so satisfying when this theme comes on and everyone in the room jumps up from the couch to sing along. I swear we're all right. At number 2, I reserved a special spot for one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows, Drake and Josh. This theme is one of the golden numbers that captures what it was like to grow up with good quality kids TV. Plus, I think we could easily say it was the highlight hit track of Drake Bell's music career that he's still trying to make happen. Anyhow, this theme makes the list because it's the perfect sing-along, even though we can get into a debate on whether it's Realign or Realize. The subtitles say both, but that's for another day. The song is catchy, and it perfectly provides a theme for the 2 Hug Me Brother goofballs that the show is all about. Finally, at number 1, it should be no surprise that I picked the Friends theme. I know it's basic, but honestly, most of the reason has to do with the clap. There's just something so satisfying about clapping in sync with your friends and wishing that you were on a sofa in front of a random fountain with umbrellas wearing white. Why, you ask? Because friends will be there for you. And if they love the show as much as you do, then they will most likely recreate the opening number with you in your living room. Added bonus, the song is perfect for the broke down in the dumps college student who's about to face the real world. It's relatable. Anyway, I'm sure I could make this list 10 times longer. There are hundreds of thousands of TV themes that the list could change constantly. But at the moment, these are my top 5s. If you agree or disagree or want to leave your own, drop a comment. I'm Madison McGill. Thank you. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Madison. Those songs will be stuck in my head for days. However, you know, Angelo, speaking of The Office, that's not right. You messed it up. It's Realign.
No, but the teleprompter said Realize.
You've been hosting this show for how long now? When has the prompter ever been correct?
Well, I don't know, but the thing about Kyle being a pilgrim was pretty spot on.
Other than that?
Well, Brandon is just a fat Ed Sheeran. How about Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad being bad? That's true. And How I Hate the Circus.
But Angelo, that's from our last episode.
And it still stands. I hate the circus. Buy my Hate the Circus t-shirt here in the description below.
Are we actually making that a shirt? Don't lie to the viewers.
Well, if I can't lie to them, I may as well hand them over to Rob Segovia's twin brother, other Rob.
It's that time of year again. Time to deck the halls, hang your stockings, and do all the other things that one does around the holiday season. I'm sure while you're wrapping your gifts and eating Christmas cookies, you're having some sort of holiday music playing in the background to get you into that spirit. Although songs like Jingle Bell Rock and Walking into Winter Wonderland are classics, don't you ever feel like they're a little outdated and, for lack of a better word, whack at times? Don't you ever say to yourself, where can I find some new music that puts me in the Christmas spirit, makes me want to text my ex for the 12th time hoping that we get back together, and make me want to Millie rock at the same time? Well, then I believe the mixtape called Merry Christmas Lil' Mama is perfect for you. This project is a collaboration between Chance the Rapper and R&B singer Jeremih. It includes 9 songs and productions such as artists from Zaytoven and Francis and the Lights. If you're looking for a traditional Christmas sound, you won't be finding it here. Don't get me wrong, this mixtape definitely has a holiday feel to it, but it mixes that feeling with hip-hop and R&B. Yes, I said hip-hop, but there won't be any hype, upbeat songs, like in-your-face type of hip-hop that you might be used to. Rather, it's very smooth and easy to listen to, while still making you bob your head to the beat. Adding that level of smoothness and mixing it with the harmonic vocals that Jeremih delivers, and you get the essence of what this album will sound like. Now, mixing rap and R&B is nothing new, but incorporating a Christmassy feel into it is another story. It definitely seems out of the ordinary, but the way Chance and Jeremiah do it is pretty amazing. Yes, all these genres are mixing together, but one is not more prominent than the other. Rather, they blend into this unique way that just fits perfectly like puzzle pieces. Now, mixing rap and R&B is nothing new, but incorporating a Christmassy feel into it is another story. It definitely seems out of the ordinary, but the way Chance and Jeremiah do it is pretty amazing. Yes, all these genres are mixing together, but one is not more prominent than the other. Rather, they blend together in this unique way that just fits perfectly like puzzle pieces. So if you're looking to switch up your Christmas listening experience, but still want to be put in that Christmas spirit, then I highly recommend this mixtape to you. And I know you might be saving your money for gifts and such, and you may not be wanting to spend any more money, and I get that. But remember, this is a Chance the Rapper project, and that he releases all his music for free. You can find the full mixtape on YouTube and SoundCloud, and you can just sit back and get into that Christmas spirit that everyone enjoys. That's my review of Chance the Rapper and Jeremiah's Christmas mixtape, Merry Christmas, Little Mama. Until next time, I'm Rob White.
Thanks, Rob White, for that insight into a beautiful musical artist.
Definitely.
Hey, Angelo, have you noticed our writers have completely lost their minds this week?
Eli, they never had minds to begin with. Did you see how many puppy references there are in the subtext? I mean, I am a rash on the belly of a dog. They wrote that right there. They made us take what dog breed are you quizzes on BuzzFeed. They made you force choke me, for crying out loud.
Are you saying I don't really have the force? My whole life has been a lie.
We're going off the rails. This needs to be stopped. Michael, cut to black. Okay, no, bring me back up. We're going to our final word. No, okay, bring me back down because we're going to commercial now, but then bring me back up. Okay, you're good. Cut to black.
Miguel, eat your food. Here, have some more.
No, gracias. I mean, see?
That's what I thought you said. Dia de los Muertos has begun. It's the one night of the year our ancestors can come visit us.
I thought it might have been one of those made-up things.
I had a dream. It was the end of the world.
Invasion.
My name is Augie Pullman. Next week, I start 5th grade. And since I've never been to real school before, I'm pretty much totally petrified.
I'll see you later.
Augie, you don't want to walk up with your parents because it's not cool.
But you're cool.
I know I am, but technically most dads aren't. Neither are these helmets.
Dear God, please make them be nice.
Hey y'all, today I'm coming at you with a nostalgic final word. Do you ever see something that shoots random flashbacks into your memory? Because this happened to me recently and I remembered like 5 kids shows I had totally forgotten about. But today I'm going to talk about the HBO family masterpiece, Crashbox. I know what you're thinking. HBO had shows for children? Seems totally out of character for dragon murdering, nudity flashing HBO, but they used to, and still might, I couldn't find it on Google, have their own kids shows. Crashbox is the weirdest thing ever, but I loved it. This series calls itself a TV game show for children because each episode of Crashbox features about 7 interactive games for the viewer to play. As a kid, I was hypnotized by the intro where robots crank gears and insert cartridges into some sort of computer. There are faulty wires going each and every direction and the whole thing looks super mystical, especially to little kids. My favorite game segment used to be Revolting Slob, which centers around a gross puppet and a narrator that tests your vocabulary. But I also remember a weird paper news anchor that hosted something called Distraction News, where you had to listen to her without being distracted by the crazy things happening in the background. Sort of like watching an episode of Real Deal that was filmed here in UML. If this show wasn't part of your childhood, you're not too old to check it out. It's weird, kind of creepy, and hilarious. It's hard to tell if the characters are made out of paper, clay, or just random materials found in the trash, and that's what makes it cool. That's all I have for you today, Real Dealies. Angelo's gearing up for an Ange view.
That's right, Eli. Now, before our Thanksgiving break, I went against my better judgment and went to see Justice League, the culmination of everything that the DC Cinematic Universe has been building to thus far. Sure, save from Wonder Woman, I've held a disdain for every film that the DCCU has released up to this point, but given my unhealthy internal desire to stay up to date and relevant, I keep on coming back just to know what they've cooked up this time. Much like a boomerang, they keep throwing me away as hard as they can, but for some reason I keep coming back. Now, as for the biggest question regarding Ben Affleck's Play Pals, when compared to Suicide Squad, is it as terrible, mind-numbing, lazy, boring, and flat-out dumb as its villainous counterpart? Well, no, it's not. But that isn't saying very much, to be fair. The film's biggest struggle is actually very similar to Suicide Squad's, however. And it's that there's a conflict between two tones throughout. At times, the film wants to be serious and gritty, whereas at other times, it wants to be buddy-buddy, fulfilling memes and slapping one-liners in your face as the actors cheese into the camera. It can be really off-putting and really abrupt as the tone changes. You can really seem to tell what scenes were orchestrated by Joss Whedon and which were orchestrated by Zack Snyder, respectively. While the film struggles to be surprising, charming, or inherently funny as a whole, it makes up for it with non-stop action that doesn't allow the viewer to stop and really think about what they're witnessing. The characters work together in a way that wasn't seen in Suicide Squad, and it makes for a film that admittedly wasn't torture to watch. I mean, don't get me wrong, when inevitably comparing this film to any of the Marvel properties, it definitely falls to the bottom of that list, but I can't say that it's worse than, say, Iron Man 2 or Thor 2: The Dark World, or controversially, some of the more boring parts of Captain America: The First Avenger. It's a comic book movie through and through. There's no confusing with a crime drama like The Dark Knight or a sci-fi comedy like Guardians of the Galaxy. It is an absolute mess. Don't get me wrong, but it plays out enough like a Saturday morning cartoon that it gets away with the sloppiness without treating you like you're some idiot. The CGI for the antagonist was surprisingly bad for a multi-million-dollar film in 2017. Ben Affleck genuinely seemed disinterested at times, and The Flash was painfully unfunny as comic relief. But in regards to the future of the DCCU, I left the film with a slightly less optimistic outlook than when I finished seeing Wonder Woman. An idea that, hey, maybe they can get their stuff together and go all in on the camp, the cheese, the Saturday morning-esque material that oozes charm, familiarity, and nostalgia. Maybe there's a hope to flesh out these characters instead of introducing them all at once and expecting the audience to like them somehow. Maybe they can capitalize on the final 10 minutes of the film and the two post-credit scenes that are by far the best thing that this mess of a universe has ever concocted. But then again, they could always just continue with the same cookie-cutter, lazy writing and dialogue that's earned them millions and millions of dollars so far. A crime that I personally have played a small part in, so all we can do is just wait and see. I'd give Justice League a 2.5 bored Ben Afflecks out of 5 CGI upper lips. It's divisive and down the middle as it can get, and it really depends on what you go in looking for, frankly.
To be honest, Angelo, I think The Real Deal can make a better Justice League.
Whew, I don't know, Eli, that's a bold statement you're making. Did you just watch the show that we just made?
Yeah, but listen, I'd obviously be Wonder Woman. You'd be Batman.
Thank
Parker
you.
and Rob can fight over who gets to be Superman, and we'll figure out the rest later.
True, but I vote Brandon to be Aquaman. That seems pretty clear to me. But on that note, let's wrap things up. For more from The Real Deal, check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Angelo Oriema.
And I'm Eli Brunsman. We'll see you next time.